see the text of The Importance of Being Earnest, we will continue with our text. So here is our text we had in our last class. Uh, Stopped here. This speech of Dr. Chasuble, who was saying to Jack Worthing that he had a sermon which was suitable to be delivered on all occasions, and the bishop who was present was much struck by some of the analogies I drew. So it was a huge success. Now, Jack here says, that reminds me, you mentioned christenings, I think, Dr. Chasuble. So, christenings means the naming of the child. So, in the Christian religion, when a child is born, the ceremony of baptism, where uh, name is given to the child for the first time by the priest. So, that is the occasion of christening. I suppose you know how to christen all right. Dr. Chasuble looks astounded. So, asking a priest whether he knew how to christen, that was, of course, a real cheeky kind of a question. So, Dr. Chasuble feels taken aback. I mean, of course, you are continually christening, aren't you? So, he is saying that I believe that you know how to perform a christening ceremony very well. So, Dr. Chasuble is startled at this remark, and he says that, well, I mean to say that you have been performing such ceremonies for quite often, are you not? It is, I regret to say, one of the rector's most constant duties in this parish. So Miss Prism intervenes here. She says that, well, I'm sorry to tell you, Mr. Worthing, that christening is one of the rector's duties in this parish. I have often spoken to the poorer classes on the subject, but they don't seem to know what thrift is. So she's saying that, well, Dr. Chasuble is continually doing that since he's the rector here, and the rector he has one of the duties of christening. I have often talked to poorer classes of people on this subject. I have often advised people to exercise self-control and not to, you know, uh, produce more children. That is, not to have too many children, so that christening ceremonies are continually being held. But obviously, they do not understand. Now, Dr. Chasuble says, but is there any particular infant in whom you are interested, Mr. Worthing? Your brother was, I believe, unmarried, was he not? So, the fictitious brother who had died in Paris, as Jack Worthing said. Dr. Chasuble is interested to know whether his brother was unmarried. Oh, yes, Miss Prism bitterly. People who live entirely for pleasure usually are. So Miss Prism is very kind of, she is very severe on this person, uh, that is uh, Jack Worthing's Jack Worthing's brother. Uh, so living entirely for pleasure. But it is not for any child, dear doctor. I am very fond of children. No, the fact is, I would like to be christened myself this afternoon if you have nothing better to do. So it's a very strange kind of a request to the priest. He's a grown up man. Christenings are usually held for babies when they are born after some time, the baptism ceremony. But a grown up man asking to be christened, that is a real strange thing. But surely, Mr. Worthing, you have been christened already, so Dr. Chasuble finds it very strange. I don't remember anything about it. But have you any grave doubts on the subject? I certainly intend to have. Of course, I don't know if the thing would bother you in any way, or if you think I'm a little too old now. So, obviously is saying that I do not remember anything, and I certainly want to have some doubts, because I don't know whether I was ever christened, and I believe I was never. So if the thing would bother you in any way. So, or is he, as he's saying, whether I am a bit too old to be christened now? Now, in the baptism ceremony, the child is immersed in water, holy water, and holy water, I believe that it is sprinkled on the child, and that is the process of christening. Not at all. So Dr. Chasuble doesn't think that Jack Worthing is a very old christian. The sprinkling and indeed the immersion of adults is a perfectly canonical practice. So Dr. Chasuble says, well, your being a grown up is not at all a problem. Now, a priest has to sprinkle holy water on the body of the child who is to be christened, or the whole body of the child is immersed in water at the time of this ceremony. So, a priest is fully allowed to do that in case of grown ups too. So, I can do that in your case also. Immersion. So, Jack is kind of taken aback at this subject that he has to be immersed in water. You need have no apprehensions, so you need not have any fear. Sprinkling is all that is necessary, or indeed, I think advisable. Our weather is so changeable. At what hour would you wish the ceremony performed? So, Dr. Chasuble, he is, in fact, quite lenient. uh, he doesn't he's not saying that Jack Worthing has to be immersed in water like babies, like the babies are done. They are usually that ceremony is performed, but only the sprinkling of water, holy water, is advisable. So at this point, it is sufficient that holy water is only sprinkled on you. So you need not be uh, fully immersed. Your body need not be fully immersed in holy water, just as the babies are done when uh, the babies are there immersed in water. That need not be done because our weather is so changeable. So he's saying that, well, the weather is quite uncertain, it keeps on changing. So he asks him the time. Oh, I might trot around about 5 if that would suit you. So he wants to be christened at 5 o'clock. Perfectly, perfectly. In fact, I have two similar ceremonies to perform at that time. A case of twins that occurred recently in one of the outlying cottages on your own estate. Poor Jenkins, the carter, a most hard-working man. So, uh, actually, Dr. Chasuble has uh, two other these ceremonies to perform because a poor woman living in a cottage on the boundary of Worthing's estate has given birth to twins, and they are to be christened at that particular time. So their father is a poor man called Jenkins. So at that time, obviously, uh, Dr. Chasuble is quite pleased to, you know, perform the christening ceremony of Jack Worthing also. Oh, I don't see much fun in being christened along with other babies. It would be childish. Would 5:30 do? But Jack Worthing finds it rather not really suitable for him. So he's saying that, oh, I do not want to be christened with these babies. It would seem a bit childish on my part. So would you mind if I come around at 5:30? Uh, admirably takes out watch. And now, dear Mr. Worthing, I will not intrude any longer into a house of sorrow. I would merely beg you not to be too much bowed down by grief. What seems to us bitter trials are often blessings in disguise. So now, Dr. Chasuble says that, well, I would now leave you because you have lost your brother, and You are in mourning. So obviously, I do not want to intrude on your on this sorrowful state that you are in at the moment. So I leave you. And he says that I would request you not to be driven by grief, not to be too overwhelmed by grief of the death of your brother. What seems to us to be hurting at present often turns out to be blessings in future. So he's saying that, well, you might feel a bit crestfallen, sad now, but it might turn out to be a blessing. This seems to me a blessing of an extremely obvious kind. So Miss Prism says, well, that the death of Mr. Worthing's brother is obviously an open blessing, and it is not at all disguised also. Enter Cecily from the house. Uncle Jack, oh, I am pleased to see you back. But what horrid clothes you have got on. Do go and change them. Cecily, so horrid clothes meaning Jack is wearing black clothes, as you can uh, see or rather understand, because he is in mourning. So Cecily feels really surprised to see Uncle Jack back, and he is in mourning clothes. So he says that please go and change them. But obviously Miss Prism is he doesn't like that. My child. Cecily goes towards Jack. So as you can see here, the thing is that Jack Worthing has put on this, these black clothes. Uh, in As he says, he has lost his brother, but nothing of the kind has occurred. So Dr. Chasuble speaks in a tone of rebuke to uh, Cecily, my child, my child. Cecily goes towards Jack. He kisses her brow in a melancholy manner. So he tries to seem very sad. Uh, what is the matter, Uncle Jack? Do look happy. You look as if you had toothache, and I have got such a surprise for you. Who do you think is in the dining room? Your brother. So obviously, Algernon is there, and Algernon has given them the identity of. He says that he's Jack's brother. So Cecily says that, well, you should look happy because your brother is here. He has come. Who? So Jack is really surprised. Your brother, Ernest. He arrived about half an hour ago. What nonsense! I haven't got a brother. So Jack is in a fix. Oh, don't say that. However badly he may have behaved to you in the past, he is still your brother. You couldn't be so heartless as to disown him. I'll tell him to come out. And you will shake hands with him, won't you, Uncle Jack? Runs back into the house. So Cecily doesn't know anything about this imaginary brother that he has been, as Jack has said to these people, Dr. Chasuble and Miss Prism, that his brother is dead. He had died in Paris. So she assumes that obviously her Uncle Jack would be extremely happy to see his brother. These are very joyful tidings, Dr. Chasuble says. After we had all been resigned to his loss, his sudden return seems to be peculiarly distressing. So Miss Prism is a bit suspicious. And she says here that, well, this is rather, we had believed that your brother is no more, but the sudden news of his returning, it is very depressing and it is disturbing. My brother is in the dining room. I don't know what it all means. I think it is perfectly absurd. So obviously Jack doesn't know that Algernon has arrived. Enter Algernon and Cecily hand in hand. They come slowly up to Jack. Good heavens, motions Algernon away. So he doesn't want Algernon to be present here. Brother John, I have come down from town to tell you that I am very sorry for all the trouble I had given you, and that I intend to lead a better life in the future. Jack glares at him and does not take his hand. So obviously, he had just said to Dr. Chasuble and mispresumed that his brother has died, and here is the brother who has come from the from London. So obviously it's a funny situation, as you can see. So Algernon doesn't know that Jack has announced his death. So Algernon is playing the part of his brother. He says that, well, I'll be good now. I'll be a good brother to you. So obviously he is trying to be apologetic, but Jack doesn't like this situation at all. Uncle Jack, you are not going to refuse your own brother's hand. So he's not shaking hands. Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I think he's coming down here disgraceful. He knows perfectly well why. So Jack didn't expect Algernon to come to find out his address in the country and to come over here. He didn't expect that. Uncle Jack, do be nice. So Cecily is rather surprised. There is some good in everyone. Ernest has just been telling me about his poor invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, whom he goes to visit so often. And surely there must be much good in one who is kind to an invalid and leaves the pleasures of London to sit by a bed of pain. So Algernon was telling Cecily about his imaginary friend, Mr. Bunbury, who was a perpetual invalid. So obviously Cecily has found this very touching. The fact that Algernon was so kind-hearted. He goes away from London, the pleasures of London, and visits his friend in the countryside. Oh, he has been talking about Bunbury, has he? So Jack now understands that Algernon had been uh, tell uh, lies to Cecily. Yes, he has told me all about poor Mr. Bunbury and his terrible state of health. Bunbury, well, I won't have him talk to you about Bunbury or about anything else. It is enough to drive one perfectly frantic. So Jack knows that obviously there is no one by the name of Bunbury, and so he says that this man can easily make a person mad. Frantic means become mad. Of course, I admit that the faults were all on my side, but I must say that I think that Brother John's coldness to me is peculiarly painful. I expected a more enthusiastic welcome, especially considering it is the first time I have come here. So Algernon is saying that, well, I expected to be welcomed in a more, warm. I had expected a warm welcome, but since I have come down here for the first time, Uncle Jack, if you don't shake hands with Ernest, I will never forgive you. Never forgive me? Never, never, never. So Cecily wants Jack to shake hands. Well, this is the last time I shall ever do it. Shakes with Algernon and glares. So he is still angry with mm, Algernon for coming there. It's pleasant, is it not, to see so perfect a reconciliation? I think we might leave the two brothers together. So Dr. Chasuble finds this very pleasant that the two brothers should be reconciled. Cecily, you will come with us, Miss Prism asks her. Certainly, Miss Prism, my little task of reconciliation is over. You have done a beautiful action today, dear child. We must not be premature in our judgments. So Dr. Chasuble is praising her that she has done a beautiful action. What is that beautiful action? She has reconciled the two brothers. But Miss Prism doesn't think, she thinks that it is rather too early to, you know, pass judgment on this. I feel very happy. They all go off except Jack and Algernon. So the two men are left there. You young scoundrel, Algy, you must get out of this place as soon as possible. I don't allow any Bunburying here. So Jack doesn't want Algernon to be present here. Enter Merryman. So the butler comes in. I have put Mr. Ernest's things in the room next to yours, sir. I suppose that is all right. What? Mr. Ernest's luggage, sir. I have unpacked it and put it in the room next to your own. His luggage? Yes, sir. 3 portmanteaus, a dressing case, 2 hat boxes, and a large luncheon basket. So Algernon is carrying quite a you know, uh, quite heavy luggage. I am afraid I can't stay more than a week this time. So Algernon wants to stay for a whole week. Merriman ordered the dog cart at once. Mr. Ernest has been suddenly called back to town. So uh, Jack is not at all, he's not at all going to allow Ernest to stay there. Now, this word portmanteau, this is a kind of a suitcase or a leather bag. So obviously, uh, um, Jack Worthing, he says to Merriman that Mr. Ernest is going to leave now at once because he has been suddenly called back, and he asks Merriman to order the dog cart. Now, the dog cart was a two-wheeled driving cart with cross seats back to back. Uh, uh, this is a small vehicle and for traveling, and Jack asks Merriman to order the dog cart. Yes, sir, goes back into the house. What a fearful liar you are, Jack. I have not been called back to town at all. Yes, you have. I haven't heard anyone call me. Your duty as a gentleman calls you back. My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pleasures in the smallest degree. So Jack, he says to Jack that, well, uh, you are a great liar, and my duties as a gentleman has never disrupted my pleasures. I can quite understand that. Well, Cecily is a darling, so he has already become friends with Cecily. You are not to talk of Miss Cardew like that. I don't like it. Well, I don't like your clothes. You look perfectly ridiculous in them. Why on earth don't you go up and change? It is perfectly childish to be in deep mourning for a man who is actually staying for a whole week with you in your house as a guest. I call it grotesque. So obviously, you cannot mourn for someone who is quite alive. So it is really grotesque, ludicrous, and absurd. So Algernon is mocking Jack. He says that, well, all the time Jack is uh, trying to was trying to say to Dr. Chasuble and Miss Prism that his brother had died in Paris, but actually he is that brother. So why should we be in mourning? You are certainly not staying with me for a whole week as a guest or anything else. So Jack doesn't want him to stay with him. So he's saying plainly to uh, Algernon that he will not be allowed to stay here for a whole week. Uh, you have got to leave by the 4:05 train. So that day itself, he has to leave. I certainly won't leave you so long as you are in mourning. It would be most unfriendly. If I were in mourning, you would stay with me, I suppose. I should think it very unkind if you didn't. So, obviously, Algernon is making fun of Jack. So, since you are in humble, horrible, these mourning clothes, it would be most unfriendly for me to leave you to your grief in this condition. So, since you are in a kind of a state of lamentation, you would certainly, if I were in a state of lamentation, he says, I know that you would be by my side. So, I cannot be unkind to you. Well, will you go if I change my clothes? So, Jack now offers to change his clothes. Yes, if you are not too long. I never saw anybody take so long to dress and with such little result. So again, he mocks at Jack that you take too much time to dress up. Well, at any rate, that is better than being always overdressed as you are. So he says that, well, you are always overdressed. You uh, you are like that. If I am occasionally a little overdressed, I make up for it by being always immensely overeducated. So he has very high opinions about himself. Your vanity is ridiculous, your conduct an outrage, and your presence in my garden utterly absurd. However, you have got to catch the 4-5, and I hope you will have a pleasant journey back to town. This bun burying, as you call it, has not been a great success for you. So Jack says that, well, you are so proud of yourself. Your vanity is ridiculous. You are overestimating yourself, and your behavior is outrageous. And your being present here is, of course, uh, totally absurd, nonsensical. But you must get ready to return to London by the 4-5 train, and I wish you a pleasant journey back to London. And you cannot, your act of bun burying, that is telling lies about your brother, obviously, about your friend, it will not be a success here. Goes into the house. Now Algernon is left behind. He is alone and he says, I think it has been a great success. I am in love with Cecily, and that is everything. So he has succeeded as he thinks. Enter Cecily at the back of the garden. She picks up the can and begins to water the flowers. But I must see her before I go and make arrangements for another bunberry. Ah, there she is. Oh, I merely came back to water the roses. I thought you were with Uncle Jack. He's gone to order the dog cart for me. Oh, is he going to take you for a nice drive? So Cecily doesn't suspect that her uncle has ordered Algernon to leave. He's going to send me away. Then have we got to part? I'm afraid so. It's a very painful parting. So Algernon says, well, we have to part. And it is going to be quite a painful parting. It is always painful to part from people whom one has known for a very brief space of time. The absence of old friends one can endure with equanimity, but even a momentary separation from anyone to whom one has just been introduced is almost unbearable. So, uh, as you might have noticed, Cecily has this habit of reversing the common sayings. So obviously, uh, all of us, if we feel sad when we part with our old friends, people whom we have known for a long time. But here Cecily is saying that it is very painful to part from people whom one has known for a brief period of time. So one can bear partition from old friends without much pain, without feeling very sad. But a momentary separation from someone who has been introduced to one for just a few minutes, it is very painful. So obviously it is a funny statement, and it is antithetical to the normal course of things. Thank you. Enter Merriman. The dog cart is at the door, sir. Algernon looks appealingly at Cecily. It can wait, Merriman, for 5 minutes. Yes, miss. Exit Merriman. So Algernon wants to have a talk with Cecily before he goes. I hope, Cecily, I shall not offend you if I state quite frankly and openly that you seem to me to be, in every way, the visible personification of absolute perfection. So now he's saying that, well, he has revealed to her that you are really a perfect woman in every respect. I think your frankness does you great credit, Ernest. If you will allow me, I will copy your remarks into my diary. Goes over to table and begins writing in diary. So she has this habit of keeping a diary, and she uh, takes down or puts down anything that interests her, any saying or anything that one might say to her. So she likes this saying. Do you really keep a diary? I'd give anything to look at it. May I? Oh no, puts her hand over it. You see, it is simply a very young girl's record of her own thoughts and impressions, and consequently meant for publication. When it appears in volume form, I hope you will order a copy. But pray, Ernest, don't stop. I delight in taking down from dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. You can go on. I am quite ready for more. So obviously, she's saying that you cannot have a look at it because it is very personal. My personal thoughts and impressions are there, and it is going to be published. So when it will be published, you can order a copy. And she asks Algernon to go on, and she, of course, addresses him as Ernest because Algernon has told her that his name is Ernest. Somewhat taken aback, ahem, ahem. So he didn't expect this, that Cecily was just taking this down, whatever he was saying. Uh, oh, don't cough, Ernest. When one is dictating, one should speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough, writes as Algernon speaks. So you should not cough. Speaking very rapidly. Cecily, ever since I first looked upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I have dared to love you wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. So he goes on at a very fast pace, and he declares his love for Cecily. So he finally tells her about his feelings. I don't think that you should tell me that you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it? Cecily, enter Merryman. So, uh, why should you love me hopelessly? So, she doesn't like that word. Enter Merryman. The dog cart is waiting, sir. Tell it to come round next week at the same hour. So Algernon just is not in the mood to leave just now. Looks at Cecily, who makes no sign. Yes, sir. Merriman retires. So the dog cart is dismissed. Uncle Jack would be very much annoyed if he knew you were staying on till next week at the same hour. So Cecily says that, well, Uncle Jack wanted you to leave, but since you have asked Merriman to uh, drive the dog cart away, he will, if he comes to know of this thing, he will be annoyed. Oh, I don't care about Jack. I don't care for anybody in the whole world but you. I love you, Cecily. Will you marry me? Won't you? You silly boy. Of course. Why? We have been engaged for the last 3 months. So, this statement really surprises Algernon. For the last 3 months. Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday. But how did we become engaged? Well, ever since dear Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother who was very wicked and bad, you, of course, have formed the chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism. And of course, a man who is much talked about is always very attractive. One feels there must be something in him, after all. I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with you, Ernest. So, Cecily, when first her uncle Jack told them rather, Miss Prism also, that he had this brother, Ernest, who was a very evil kind of a person, a very wicked kind of person. And they started talking about that brother, Cecily and Miss Prism. She became very interested in him, and to her, that brother appeared to be really an attractive man. So she really started to love him, just hearing about him. Darling, and when was the engagement actually settled? On the 14th of February last. Worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or the other, and after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you under this dear old tree here. The next day, I bought this little ring in your name, and this is the little bangle with the true lover's knot. I promised you always to wear. So she had gone through this imaginary engagement. Of course, Algernon was not present there, but actually she had imagined that Algernon had proposed to her, and therefore she had accepted him under this tree, and obviously she bought the little bangle. So obviously we can understand the feelings that she had for Ernest. Did I give you this? It's very pretty, isn't it? Actually, he has not given it to him, to her. Yes, you have wonderfully good taste, Ernest. It's the excuse I have always given for your leading such a bad life. So here, as you can see, um, they are kind of playing a kind of a game here. Uh, Algernon examines this, and this is the box in which I keep all your dear letters. Kneels at table, opens box, and produces letters tied up with blue ribbon. So obviously, Cecily has been writing letters, and uh, Algernon, of course, didn't know Cecily at that time. So the question of his writing those letters did not arise. My letters, but my own sweet Cecily, I have never written you any letters. So Algernon is extremely surprised. You need hardly remind me of that, Ernest. I remember only too well that I was forced to write your letters for you. I wrote always 3 times a week, and sometimes oftener. So Cecily had been assuming the role of Ernest or Algernon, and she had been writing for him. She had been sort of imagining all these things. Oh, do let me read them, Cecily. Oh, I couldn't possibly. They would make you far too conceited. Replaces box. The 3 you wrote me after I had broken off the engagement are so beautiful and so badly spelled that even now I can hardly read them without crying a little. So she's a really a funny kind of a girl, as you can see. She has gone through all these things, all these make-believe things, and she has written the letters herself. But was our engagement ever broken off? Of course it was. On the 22nd of last March, you can see the entry if you like, show's diary. Today I broke off my engagement with Ernest. I feel it is better to do so. The weather still continues charming. So she is she just imaginatively whatever comes to her mind, she does that. But why on earth did you break it off? What had I done? I had done nothing at all. Cecily, I am very much hurt indeed to hear you broke it off, particularly when the weather was so charming. So Algernon complains about this the breaking of the engagement. Why did you break it off? I would hardly have been a really serious engagement. Sorry, it would hardly have been a really serious engagement if it hadn't been broken off at least once. But I forgave you before the week was out. So she is just following the, the traditional engagement, then breaking off of the engagement, and then again acceptance, and all those traditional processes. So it would not have been a really serious engagement. Crossing to her and kneeling. What a perfect angel you are, Cecily. You dear romantic boy. He kisses her. She puts her fingers through his hair. I hope your hair curls naturally. Does it? Yes, darling, with a little help from others. I am so glad. You will never break off our engagement again, Cecily. I don't think I could break it off now that I have actually met you. Besides, of course, there is the question of your name. Yes, of course, nervously. So obviously he knows that his name is not Ernest, it is Algernon. So he feels a bit nervous. So obviously these conversation, as you can see uh, here, whether your hair curls naturally, uh, as it is said here, I hope your hair curls naturally, as Cecily tells Algernon. So this is another mark of absurdity in the play. So now Gwendolen loves Jack's blue eyes and Cecily loves Algernon's curly hair. So the fact, of course, that his name is Ernest. She does not know that his name is not Ernest, it is Algernon. You must not laugh at me, darling, but it had always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name was Ernest. Algernon rises. Cecily also. There is something in that name that seems to inspire absolute confidence. I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Ernest. So, the importance of being earnest. So, the title of the play, the importance, we can understand that it is extremely important that Algernon should continue to say that his name is Ernest. Otherwise, Cecily would never accept him. So she is dead sure that any other woman whose husband's name is not Ernest must be a miserable kind of a woman. But my dear child, do you mean to say you could not love me if I had some other name? Now Algernon is a bit nervous. He knows that his name is not Ernest, so he wants to make sure. But what name? Oh, any name you like. Algernon, for instance. But I don't like the name of Algernon. So obviously he tries to say his real name now. But Cecily is not at all impressed. Well, my own dear, sweet, loving little darling. So many adjectives, as you can see. I really can't see why you should object to the name of Algernon. It is not at all a bad name. In fact, it is rather an aristocratic name. Half of the chaps who get into the bankruptcy court are called Algernon. But seriously, Cecily, moving to her, if my name was Algie, couldn't you love me? So he is almost imploring her to love the name Algernon. So here he is referring to this, half of the chaps who, as he says, uh, get into the bankruptcy court. So people, aristocratic people who go bankrupt, so who have no money. So it is a kind of an amusing and paradoxical statement that Algernon getting into bankruptcy court. So it is a sign of aristocracy, sign of importance, and qualifies him to become an aristocratic person. So people who get into the bankruptcy court, according to him, are called Algernon. So obviously, he is kind of trying to convince, as you can see, trying to convince Cecily that the name Algernon is an aristocratic name. It's a very good name, and she should approve of that name. Rising, I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character, but I fear that I should not be able to give you my undivided attention. So she is not going to like the name Algernon, neither is she going to like the name Algie. Ahem. Cecily, picking up hat. Your rector here is, I suppose, thoroughly experienced in the practice of all the rites and ceremonials of the church. So now he has this uh, thought that he has to be christened Ernest. Oh, yes, Dr. Chasuble is a most learned man. He has never written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows. So, another paradoxical, funny remark that Dr. Chasuble is a very knowledgeable man, but he has not written a single book. So, that is a kind of a proof that he is a learned man. Uh, I must see him at once on a most important christening. I mean, on most important business. Oh, I shan't be away more than half an hour. Considering that we have been engaged since February the 14th, and that I only met you today for the first time, I think it is rather hard that you should leave me for so long a period as half an hour. Couldn't you make it 20 minutes? So, again, this absurd kind of a statement that half an hour is a very long time since they had been engaged since February the 14th. And that's going to be 3 months, as she had said earlier. And it's a real funny thing that she had met him only uh, on that day. So uh, she wants him to be away for only 20 minutes. Only for 20 minutes. I'll be back in no time, kisses her and rushes down the garden. What an impetuous boy he is. I like his hair so much. I must enter his proposal in my diary. So she's going to enter all these things, whatever is happening. Impetuous means impulsive kind of a person who acts on sudden impulses. Enter Merriman. A Miss Fairfax has just called to see Mr. Worthing on very important business, Miss Fairfax states. So Gwendolen has come to this place. Isn't Mr. Worthing in his library? Mr. Worthing went over in the direction of the rectory some time ago, so he has gone to Dr. Chasuble's house, just as Algernon has also gone there. Pray ask the lady to come out here. Mr. Worthing is sure to be back soon, and you can bring tea. Yes, miss, goes out. Miss Fairfax, I suppose one of the many good elderly women who are associated with Uncle Jack in some of his philanthropic work in London. I don't quite like women who are interested in philanthropic work. I think it is so forward of them. So obviously, Cecily doesn't know Gwendolen, and she is assuming that her uncle Jack is associated with many philanthropic works. So her uncle Jack is engaged in in London for in some charitable activities, and maybe this Miss Fairfax is an elderly lady who has come here to meet her uncle Jack, and she says that, well, I do not like such women because they are very forward, meaning they do not have any kind of, they're not modest enough. So they're always asking for money and all that for philanthropic work. Enter Merriman. Miss Fairfax, so he announces her name. Enter Gwendolen. Exit Merriman. Cecily, advancing to meet her. Pray let me introduce myself to you. My name is Cecily Cardew. Cecily Cardew, moving to her and shaking hands. What a very sweet name. Something tells me that we are going to be great friends. I like you already more than I can say. My first impressions of people are never wrong. So Gwendolen is also very proud of her first impressions. So she likes her name, the alliterative name that sort of it has this charming sound, and she declares that she's going to be very good friends with her. How nice of you to like me so much after we have known each other such a comparatively short time. Pray sit down. So they have just met, so comparatively short time is an ironical statement, a funny, absurd statement. Still standing up. I may call you Cecily, may I not? With pleasure. And you will always call me Gwendolen, won't you? If you wish, then that is all quite settled, is it not? I hope so. A pause. They both sit down together. Perhaps this might be a favorable opportunity for my mentioning who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You have never heard of Papa, I suppose. So, Lord Bracknell is quite a formidable aristocratic figure in London. I don't think so. Outside the family circle, Papa, I am glad to say, is entirely unknown. So this is another funny statement. Outside his family circle, he's not known. He's so famous. I think that is quite as it should be. The home seems to me to be the proper sphere for the man. And certainly, once a man begins to neglect his domestic duties, he becomes painfully effeminate. Does he not? So you can see here what Gwendolen is saying. It is entirely against the you know uh, the common traditional beliefs about men, that it's a kind of a paradoxical statement. So obviously uh, as she says that a man should not neglect his domestic duties. So during those times, in those late Victorian times, obviously the uh, women, they were supposed to take care of family matters, domestic affairs. But here, Gwendolyn says exactly the opposite. He, if he neglects his domestic duties, he would become very effeminate, obviously, like a woman. Uh, and I don't like that. It makes men so very attractive. Cecily, Mama, whose views on education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short sighted. It is part of her system. So, do you mind my looking at you through my glasses? So, she wants to have a good look at Cecily. And the funny way in which she puts this is really, of course, raises a laugh. And Gwendolyn's words, as you can see here, are really absurd. So she doesn't like uh, effeminate people, men rather, because they become attractive. That would be really not to her liking. And her mama, that is Lady Bracknell, she has raised her up in such a remarkable way that she has become short sighted. Oh, not at all, Gwendolen. I am very fond of being looked at. After examining Cecily carefully through a lorgnette, you are here on a short visit, I suppose. So, lorgnette is the eyeglasses. Oh no, I live here. Severely. Really? Your mother, no doubt, or some female relative of advanced years, resides here also. So the fact that she resides here, she is just a young woman. So Gwendolyn is rather does not approve of that. So she assumes that her mother is uh, she lives with uh, rather lives with Cecily here. So your mother, no doubt, or some female relative of advanced years. So an elderly female relative stays with you. Oh no, I have no mother, nor in fact any relations. Indeed, my dear guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me. So uh, she doesn't have a mother, in fact, not a father also. So it is her guardian. Your guardian? Yes, I am Mr. Worthing's ward. So now she reveals this. The difficult task, that is the arduous task of looking after her, has fallen to Mr. Worthing. So let us stop here. And as you can see, the whole play, it is full of such absurd, ridiculous statements made by Cecily and now Gwendolyn. And now that Algernon has come over here and Jack, uh, they have met, and the two girls, they have met. So the plot is now progressing gradually. So with this, I'll come to the end of this class today.